The following is a paid presentation by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys. Paid for by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys. The Siniard Law Show, answering your legal questions. Featuring attorneys Tommy Siniard, Bart Siniard, and your host, Aaron Dacey. This is the Siniard Law Show.
Good evening and welcome to the Siniard Law Show. I'm Aaron Dacey. Each Sunday night on the Siniard Law Show, we answer your legal questions. You can call us and leave a voicemail with your question on our dedicated line. The number is 844-7000-LAW, or you can email us at questions@siniardlaw.com. Tommy Siniard and Bart Siniard are a father-son legal team right here in North Alabama. Tommy's been recognized by the best lawyers in America for 31 years. His son Bart was honored by the best lawyers in America for 3 years running. This evening on the Siniard Law Show, we're focusing on insurance claims. Joining us with expertise on this topic are Bart Siniard and Bart Heyward. And since we're talking about insurance claims, how do you start an insurance claim with somebody else's insurance?
Yeah, it can vary depending on which type of claim it is. Before we get started, I wanted to congratulate Barnes. We're just talking about our best lawyers in America recognitions. Barnes was just recognized as the best lawyers ones to watch, which is a designation you get if you're less than 10 years in practice.
That's fantastic.
Proud of Barnes.
Congratulations,
Thank you,
Barnes. That's
Good
great.
job.
That's awesome. So you're really in good hands here.
Yeah. Well, we'll try. But so insurance claims, there's so many different types of insurance claims. Homeowners insurance, car insurance, life insurance. But what are some tips that kind of span that variety when you're starting an insurance claim, Barnes?
Well, the first thing that I would say is you need to be careful about who you're talking to and what you're talking to them about. If we're talking about a car accident claim, for instance, we want people to be really careful about who they speak with and understanding that every conversation that they have is going to be recorded. Mm-hmm. A few weeks ago, we talked about social media and how everything you say can and will be used against you. Same thing when you're talking to an insurance company or an insurance adjuster. And really what I would recommend is that people reach out to an attorney, somebody like us, for advice about what do I talk to these people about? What should I say? And what are some topics that I should avoid?
Yeah, you got to be real careful because insurance companies are trained to deny claims or diminish claims because that's their business model. You take in this amount of insurance premiums every month and you pay out hopefully down here this amount and the net difference is their profit margin. So, but it's a business. I get it. They're in it. They have to make money. That's the system we live in. But you have to be wary of that when you're making a claim because you got to know they may seem friendly, but they've got a checklist of things. They are trying to find that they can perhaps deny the claim outright or at least minimize the payouts. Another tip on insurance claims that I always give people is the importance of documentation. Mm-hmm. What you say is important, but talk about that, Barnes, backing things up with evidence.
Yeah, I mean, you hear this all the time that generally whoever's first to the evidence wins. Lawyers say that a lot. For the average person out there who's been involved in an incident, it's so important to document things. And the last thing that most people are going to think about is, well, I need to gather evidence or I need to take photographs because maybe I'll end up in litigation later down the road. The reason that most people don't think about that, or the reason we're speaking about this tonight, is because most people don't think about that. So document the scene, whether it's a premises liability case, when you've been injured on somebody else's property, whether it's an auto accident, no matter the circumstance, if there's evidence that needs to be documented, take photographs of it. Surveillance footage also can become really important. And if there's a business around that documented or captured what happened on video, go and speak with that business. We're all the time sending out preservation letters to local businesses who may have surveillance footage to keep that evidence and not to destroy it or get rid of it, so that if it does become important later down the road, we know that they're going to have it.
Yeah. Insurance companies deal in data, documentation, photos, videos, audio recordings. So anything you can to bolster your claim with backup, that's what I call it. It's just evidence you saying it's one thing, but you saying it and it being corroborated with a video or a mound of documentation showing that your claim is true, correct, and substantiated, it's going to make a world of difference in any type of insurance claim.
So it doesn't really matter the circumstances. What you're talking about is you've got to have the evidence no matter what.
Yeah, whether it's a homeowner's claim, you got a leaky roof, or you got, rear-ended in a parking lot, or, you're trying to make a life insurance claim because you had a parent pass away. In that latter situation, you're going to have to get medical records. You're going to have to get a death certificate because there may be exclusions where life insurance doesn't have to pay out due to certain medical conditions or certain events. In a car accident claim, there may be a dispute because there's no accident report in a parking lot rear-end collision case. So you might need a witness statement. You might need that surveillance video footage that the Walmart's got right there above where the accident happened. Any type of claim, you got to gather the evidence because you got to expect that they're going to try to deny your claim.
I'm so glad that you're telling us this, because when you're in the midst of some of these things, it's so traumatizing. You might not even think about it.
People are not thinking about that. And that's why it's important to reach out to a lawyer, because that's how we think every day.
Right.
We are not emotionally going through the suffering of being injured in a car wreck. We're not having to grieve the loss of a parent. We are, not having to deal with a roof that's collapsing over our bedroom. And we are trained to gather evidence, to analyze it and submit it in a correct format. So it's tough for people who aren't lawyers and are going through some devastating event. Reach out to a lawyer. They're going to talk with you for free. We do that every day.
Bart, what about circumstances where there may be a third party that is responsible, but you're looking at filing a claim through your own insurance company? This is something that we talk to people about a lot. And in certain circumstances, it makes sense to file a claim through your insurance company rather than through the insurance company representing or insuring the at-fault party. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I recommend that a lot when in a car accident case, believe it or not. Even if the other driver's at fault and your vehicle's totaled, if you have collision coverage, I say go through your own insurance because it's quicker. They have a legal responsibility to you to process the claim, and your insurance company can go get reimbursed from the other driver's insurance company. People are hesitant to do that, but I generally recommend it. And there's other situations too. And the reason you may do that is because your insurance company has a legal responsibility to you as your customer pursuant to the insurance policy contract, where the other person who did something to hurt you or damage your property, their insurance company has no responsibility to you. None.
That's why you pay your premium.
Yeah, it's a lot of times it makes sense to use your own insurance and then let your insurance go fight them, do that dirty work for you.
They probably have attorneys on their side for sure to help.
Yeah.
Thank you both for that. Let's answer an email now question. Terrell writes, my vehicle, which is operable, registered with my apartment complex, was towed by someone who is contracted with the property manager. The manager has not offered any explanation for why my vehicle was towed. I've been offered free rent for the next month. I can't get anyone to respond to me. I am now without a car and I don't know how to get it back. Will my insurance cover this? If not, then what do I do? Boy, that's a tricky one. This
is a wild story. I read this right before we got on set, and it brings up a lot of legal issues. Would his own insurance cover it? If he has comprehensive coverage with his own car insurance, then yes. If the vehicle is truly missing and it can't be located, if you have comprehensive auto coverage, it will cover that. If you have liability only or just liability and collision, no, your insurance isn't going to cover that. Most people don't have comprehensive. Most people have liability or liability and collision and maybe a few other things. But this isn't a collision.
No.
And so what this person is probably going to have to do is what?
Well, we just talked about, first of all, documenting everything.
Yeah.
He's saying that the manager at his apartment complex was the one that towed the vehicle or had the vehicle towed. He's saying that his vehicle was registered, that it was registered, I presume, to be parked at the apartment complex. So I would gather documentation of all of that, hey, this vehicle was registered. I had permission to have this vehicle parked at the apartment complex. If you've got communications from the apartment complex stating that the vehicle was towed or that they had the vehicle towed, get that documentation, and then I would send an email or some form of written correspondence to that manager, asking them exactly what happened, why the vehicle was towed, and then importantly, because it sounds like he doesn't know, who towed it. So where is his vehicle?
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that I think about here too is that there are a lot of questions that probably need to be answered in the meantime. If you can figure out who towed the vehicle, it may be wise to go ahead and get your vehicle before you start initiating any kind of legal action, maybe involving the apartment complex, because of storage fees. Yeah. And so what I would say is go and get the vehicle as quickly as you can, then deal with everything else.
Yeah, and the tow yard may auction off the vehicle. They can consider it abandoned. They're supposed to give notice to the property owner before they do that, but I've seen that happen. He needs to do some more investigating, figure out where it is, and then he needs to, if he doesn't have comprehensive coverage with his own car insurance company, he needs to make a claim against the property management group.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a difficult one. There may be more, even more issues after he uncovers all that. Good luck to you on that one. Siniard Law Tips do not stop at the end of this show. You can get them in your email inbox with a free monthly newsletter. Just scan the QR code or be sure to sign up at siniardlaw.com. When we return, Barnes sits down with Jeremy Folks to discuss Habitat for Humanity.
I got sandwiched between an 18-wheeler and a truck. During the accident, I lost my left leg. I chose Siniard Law because my granddad knew they had a great reputation. They were very knowledgeable. They were very sweet. We had a connection. They pretty much treated us like family. I would definitely recommend Siniard Law because they are caring and they will help you get what you deserve. If you've been injured, call Siniard Law.
One of the great things about the Siniard Law Show is learning about all of the wonderful efforts right here in the Tennessee Valley. Barnes Heyward is with a special guest to talk about Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm very happy to be here with my good friend, Jeremy Folks. Jeremy is the executive director of Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley.
The River Valley.
And Habitat is special to me because actually, almost 15 years ago, I was working with AmeriCorps and Habitat for Humanity. I worked personally with Jeremy, with another young woman, and had a great experience with Habitat. Hopefully I did more good than I did harm. I recall backing into the Restore building with a box truck at one time.
I seem to recall that.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm still allowed on premises.
You definitely are.
Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So for people who aren't familiar with Habitat for Humanity, I was hoping that you could just tell us a little bit about the mission and the work that y'all do.
Well, our mission is to bring God's people together to build homes, community, and hope. The way we do this is we bring people who are in need of housing, people who are living in substandard poverty housing, inadequate housing, people with challenges, especially in today's world. What we see most of all is affordability. With average rent sitting just under $1,500 a month in our area, that's real difficult for a family to be able to afford. The family would have to make about $28 an hour, 40 hours a week to be able to afford that. So that's a real challenge. We work with those families, we partner with them, we provide education to those families, about 63 hours of education to each and every homeowner that's going through our program. And that is done actually not just by Habitat, it's also partnerships we have with other nonprofits in the community and other organizations in the community. So there's a real collaborative effort when it comes to our mission. We're bringing others in, be it the Huntsville Botanical Gardens, the Dream Center, Family Services Center, and others, to help educate and prepare our families for the challenges that they're going to face as a homeowner.
I wanted to ask you about that because one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have, I probably had this misconception when I came to work with you, is that these homes are they're built and then they're given away to the homeowner, but nothing could be further from the truth.
Nothing could be further from the truth. We see on the news at night, you see when you see us on there with a house dedication, those keys being handed over, and what we don't catch is that those homes are actually sold to the families. Now, we do what's called Bible financing. We are a Christian ministry, and we take our plan right out of the good book at Exodus 22:25. God called down the Israelites and said, if one of my people among you is in need, don't be like a moneylender, charge them no interest. So what we do is we actually sell the home for the appraised value. So we are doing what's right by the community and keeping housing values where they need to be. But the mortgage that is paid back to Habitat is for the cost of building it. And then we finance it for 0% interest. So whatever that land, that infrastructure, and the cost of building that home, that is what the family's paying back. And as I mentioned before, with average rent sitting just under $1,500, our mortgage payments for our families, with homeowners insurance, with property taxes, and a termite bond, is about $650. So the question I always ask, when I'm out there is, what else could we address when we're saving $600, $700, $800, $900 a month in rent? We can address food insecurity. We have families that are putting money, who are actually buying health insurance for the first time ever through their employer. And one of the most amazing things I saw is recently, it's a family who got into a home in 2020. When they came back and talked to us a couple months later, they had started putting money into their 529 plan for their son, who was just a toddler. And today they have a nice college fund going for their son, who's I think in 4th grade now. So
that's incredible.
That's incredible. So they're already building for the future. So I think that is what we're able to address. We're not going to cure everything there is about poverty with Habitat.
Right.
We understand that. But when we do impact a family, you're seeing a systemic change. You're seeing a complete change in that family's situation, with opportunities to grow and become all that God intends.
What kind of preparation do you do with these homeowners on the front end? What kind of education? And then what is sweat equity?
Oh, yes. So the preparation is that 63 hours of homeownership education, working with our community partners, working within our own organization. We're doing a financial literacy course through Cornerstone Initiative called Faith and Finance. It's a 12-week course. When you buy a home, you need to be prepared for the challenges you're going to face. My air conditioning unit, in fact, at my own house, went out just about a month and a half ago while the temperatures were in the upper 90s. And so, you need to be prepared for that investment. You can't just call your mortgage company and say, hey, the AC's out, come fix it. You need to have that rainy day fund to be prepared for that challenge. We have classes on home repairs. We have classes on construction. We have classes on landscaping. We also partner with the Dream Center to do a neighborhood initiative class to understand what it means to be a good neighbor, how to work through those challenges you face when you have neighbors, because sometimes there's going to be disagreements. How do we handle those in the proper fashion? When we want to see speed bumps or lights put up in our neighborhood, how do we talk to our elected officials to do that? So we do everything we can to prepare our families. So I have no problem with saying this and taking this to the bank. Our families that come through our program are the best prepared first-time home buyers that you're going to find anywhere else. The sweat equity component, though, is also an amazing part of our organization. Every family that comes through our program before they close on their home has done 300 hours of sweat equity.
Wow.
The first 100 hours, though, is done in the community. We used to do them all in our restore, but now they go out and they work with Manna House. They go out and they work with the Humane Society. They go out and they work with other nonprofit organizations. They're giving back to the community for this opportunity they're about to receive. Next 100 hours, they're going to be doing on their home and the homes of others. And then they'll also be doing hours again for the education. Now they can have some family and friends come out and help them out as well. So that's what equity is meaningful, because it is giving back to the community. It's giving back to the organization that's working with them. And it's an investment.
And tell us about Raise the Roof. So this is a big fundraising event for you guys that's coming up in the spring.
It's coming up in the spring. So we've already locked down the VBC on March 10th. We're about to send out sponsor packets. So if your business or your church or your group is interested in becoming a sponsor for Raise the Roof, that's going to go back to helping us serve our community, which is Limestone, Madison, and Jackson County. So we're going to be directing those funds into land and infrastructure on some possible developments. So we're really excited about that. So you can reach out to Habitat and we can get you set up for that. But Raise the Roof VBC, it's a great dinner. We have a great event every year, some great videos. We honored a volunteer, a community partner, and others during the event. And so it's just wonderful to come together and hear the stories.
Now, if people want to get involved or they want to know how to donate their time or their money, what's the best way for people to get in touch?
You can go to our website, habitatrivervalley.org. And you can donate through there. You can look for volunteer opportunities. You can call us at 256-533-2282. and we'll get you taken care of for a volunteer opportunity. And then there's also the one of the best ways to get involved is our Restore. Right downtown, corner of Pratt and Washington. That Restore is an amazing jewel in this community. You never know what you'll find there. I've been at Habitat for 22 years, and every time I walk in that store, it's something totally different. They have a piece right now from Korea that is, I think, from the 1800s that someone donated.
No kidding.
No kidding. So it's amazing to see those things come in. It's someone donated a camper van, that we're selling right now. So you just never know what you're going to find in there. But they can come down. We take building supplies, flooring, lights, fans, tubs, as well as furniture in that store. And what we do is we turn around and we sell that to the public, and that goes back into our mission.
Well, Jeremy, thank you, my friend, for being here and for all the great work that Habitat for Humanity is doing in the community. It's great to see you and spend time with you. Aaron, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Barnes. And stay with us. We're going to learn what happens if you get in a wreck in a shopping center parking lot.
Our firm, Siniard Law, we represent people who have been injured due to the negligence of somebody else.
I think we separate ourselves by not only our experience, but our community involvement and our dedication to every client.
The people of North Alabama are very important to all of us because this is home.
We are a Huntsville law firm that cares about Huntsville and North Alabama. If you've been injured, call Siniard Law.
Welcome back to the Siniard Law Show. Here's a voicemail question from Tasha.
Hi, this is Tasha, and my legal question is, if you go to a dentist and they close indefinitely without informing the patients, either by mail, by phone, or email, and just put a message on their answer machine that they've closed and they've sent all their patients out of state, does this break any kind of HIPAA rules, privacy acts? And is there anything I can do about it?
So, interesting question, and I've seen this situation before, never with the dentist's office, but doctor's office. There is a legal theory under the Alabama Medical Liability Act called abandonment. A healthcare provider is not allowed to abandon a patient without substantial justification. I've only had one case in my entire career where that issue came up. But I don't think that would be applicable to Tasha here, because you have to prove the abandonment caused like serious harm or death in order to prevail in that legal theory. The other issue she brought up, does that violate HIPAA or any other privacy laws? It would not. While I understand it's extremely inconvenient that the dentist just shut down and didn't tell you, HIPAA, that doesn't violate HIPAA. HIPAA protects privacy of healthcare information, and violations of that actually don't give a patient a right to sue a doctor's office. A lot of people say, well, this doctor's office released my information to my ex-husband or whatever. Well, that's infuriating, but that doesn't give the patient the right to bring a lawsuit against the doctor's office, which is surprising to most people. HIPAA violations are enforced by federal government agencies, Department of Health and Human Services, and for knowingly or maliciously violating HIPAA privacy laws, the Department of Justice can prosecute those people. So while what she's going through is frustrating, I really don't see any legal remedy for her.
No, and I completely understand, the frustration with the lack of communication, also maybe insecurity about where are my medical records? And have they been sent to Georgia with all these other patients, and now some other doctor that I've never met has access to my medical records? The other point that this brings up that I think is interesting is that, we can contract around HIPAA. And so when you go to a doctor's office and you sign that new patient paperwork, it's going to have information and language in there about what the office can and cannot do with your protected health information. And so read that stuff carefully, because oftentimes,
right?
No, but oftentimes you are giving them permissions, or you could be, that expand outside of what HIPAA might protect.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of those things like, really? You got to read that? But
The
you
fine
do.
print,
You do, the
I
fine
know.
print, and most people just don't.
Yeah.
So here's a question from our email inbox. I was in a wreck in a parking lot. The police came and said they couldn't do an accident report because it's private property. The lady who hit me told me that it was her fault, but now her insurance is denying my claim because she told them it was my fault and there's no accident report. I can't get any of the businesses to give me any video footage like what you guys were talking about, but I know there are cameras. Is this something that a lawyer can help me with?
What do you think about that, Barnes?
Well, first of all, it's a jurisdiction issue when we're talking about accident reports and did police conduct an investigation? Did they create a report? If it happened on private property, if it's not a public roadway or right of way, they probably don't have jurisdiction, and unless there was something criminal about what occurred, whether it was a DUI, maybe a hit and run, some criminal aspect of it, probably not going to be an investigation. Now, the question about video footage and whether or not she's going to be able to obtain that without the help of a lawyer, it sounds like you've already exhausted whatever you can do. And so a lawyer can help with that. And we talked about this earlier, sending what's called a preservation letter just to ensure that the business, if they have footage, that they preserve it. Because if they don't, if they get that letter from a lawyer and they destroy that evidence or they delete that footage, they can run afoul of the law and be held liable for something called spoliation. And so the law creates damages, and you can be held responsible if you receive a preservation letter in anticipation of litigation and then you destroy that evidence.
Yeah. So, it's worth bringing up too, parking lot wrecks. Alabama has what's called the contributory negligence doctrine, and we're one of 4 states that have this. But basically in Alabama, if both parties are at fault to some extent, even if one party's 90% at fault and the other's 10% at fault, both parties walk away with nothing. You have to use your own car insurance to fix your car or, pay off medical bills or whatever it may be. So in most parking lot cases, that's an issue because usually both parties bear some fault, like they reversed into each other at the same time, or, there was no stop sign at the intersection in the parking lot and they both went, so in most states, that's not the law. Like in Tennessee, for example, if you're 10% at fault for a wreck in Tennessee, you can still recover 90% of your damages. That's how the vast majority of states are. Alabama has contributory negligence, which means if you contribute to the wreck, no matter how slight, the other person's insurance company is going to have an argument that you shouldn't get anything.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. We get such great questions on our show like this, and we want you, our viewers, to keep that rolling. Please reach out to us by calling 844-7000-LAW or email us at questions@siniardlaw.com. Next week, we're focusing on drug crimes. Bart Siniard and Brian Beck will tackle that topic next Sunday night after the late news. Thank you for joining us for the Siniard Law Show. We'll see you next week.
The preceding was a paid presentation by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys, paid for by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys.